Hi, I'm Soumya Acharya. Welcome to our continuing series on voice culture and Carnatic music, some perspectives. We have here with us today Srimati Ranjini and Gayathri, renowned singers in Carnatic music who have and continue to dazzle audiences worldwide with their unique style and sonorous voices. Thank you for being here today. We welcome you to the program.
Thank you, Soumya. It's a pleasure to be here and share our thoughts on the voice and the importance of voice within the realm of South Indian classical music.
So, listening to your performance, one cannot help but notice the depth and emotion behind your rendition, and of course, the effortless and flawless delivery, which is only indicative of the tremendous amount of work you must have done on this aspect of voice training, among other things. So, if you could share with us your thoughts on this subject as to what you think are the essential components of a good voice production, and of course, with your background in Hindustani music as well, if you could also share with us some techniques which you have learned in that style of music. And one of the most important questions that a lot of people are asking is, in Carnatic music, is the basic training essentially enough to meet the demands of a rigorous and well-rounded voice training? So these are some of the questions that we would, if you could throw some light on the matter, we would be very grateful. Please go ahead.
Yeah, as a vocalist, voice is a very important vehicle through which we express our musical thoughts. So if we decide to be a vocalist, then we have to focus on voice and voice training.
Voice is an instrument. I think that is the first thing that we should recognize. Since it is so much part of our body, we generally take it for granted that things will sort out on its own. So I think having also been an instrumentalist, I can recognize that voice is also an instrument which can be precisely trained and tuned to suit the requirements of our music. And I think voice is not only an instrument, it's such a perfect, such a versatile instrument that possibly no single instrument can capture the entire range and gamut of what the possibilities of the voice. And yes, I think before even going on to talk about other things like flexibility, I would like to focus on the first most important aspect in voice, which is the purity of sound, the richness of sound. And richness and purity of sound is that it does not need an elaborate sangati, a fast-paced brigade to really bring out the voice greatness. If you can produce a sound that is pure, rich, and that can kind of create a completeness and fill you up completely, so to speak. You can just give that feeling of fulfillment just with one single note, a sa or a pa, any note. When you really see a great voice or a vocalist sing just that one note, what you call in our language as a nadam, the nadata, nadama part of it. So that aspect of voice is probably the most elusive, the most difficult aspect of the voice.
Yes, and voice is a natural thing. It is there. What you have is what you get. So some things can be worked on, like stamina, breath control, ironing out your voice, and you're increasing your voice range, your flexibility, the speed. So many things can be worked on, but essentially your voice is yours. It's very unique. It has a particular character to it, and one cannot change that.
And one should not change it because that is God given, it's unique. Why would you want to change it? And another important thing is that I believe, don't you think, Ranjini, that many great musicians have actually understood their voice completely, the strength and the weaknesses. And yes, and this voice, the possibilities of the voice and the limitations, this has a huge impact. I would say the greatest impact on a musician's style. The musician's style is formed because of the dynamics of the voice, what it can do well, what it cannot do very well, and the style kind of adjusts around these given.
Right. So I would say that when we think that voice is a vehicle through which we express our musical thoughts, so it is very imperative that we perfect the voice, and unless the voice has that quality, it will not convey our musical thoughts effectively. And I would say a Good voice is that which can completely captivate and reach or connect with a person who is completely devoid of any, who is completely uninitiated also into Carnatic music. So a person who need not necessarily know the grammar or the whats and whatnots of music will be touched by that voice and what you're doing. That is the mark of a good voice.
Right.
And then when we say that, I would also say that if you do not have that voice does not have that strength, it
Or
is
the
better,
melody and the richness.
yes, it is better to take an instrument, another instrument, to express your musical thoughts. That
So-
we feel very strongly about. That person who does not have a very good voice, a melodious voice, a voice which can connect, should not take vocal, but can look for to take up another instrument where he can also shine and express the musical thought.
So when you say that that voice, the fundamental aspect of the voice, the richness, and those aspects should be focused on first before even attempting to learn the larger aspect of the musical nuances. What would you say these finer points are, and what are techniques that students can adopt to actually focus on these very basic aspects, such as tonal production and breath control, and so some of these basic aspects.
I think the most fundamental, and I think everyone knows it, but probably not everyone does it. Maybe that is where the problem is. Everyone knows that in the morning or whatever when you get up, before the voice has a chance to really open up and just sit with the tanpura. And I say the tanpura, I don't mean the shruti box, I say the tanpura because the nada of the tanpura certainly impacts your senses and thereby the voice. I have actually heard a friend of mine say that the voice will probably imitate whichever instrument is constantly used. And I think there is some merit in this statement.
That's interesting.
If you use the harmonium to practice, the voice sometimes tries to imitate the thong, it goes closer to that. So nothing like a tanpura. So if you have that tanpura, please use a tanpura, strum the instrument and sing with it. There is some kind of
chemistry that
happens when you do that. And in the morning, get up, do the akara. Akara, hold a note, sa, for a long time, and watch it closely. Sometimes it's not about just singing it, but watching your voice closely, listening to it with your mind, and hear your voice closely. Look at the ups and downs. Sometimes your voice will waver. So it has to be taught, like how you sing the oil when you pour it from the height. The Shira Vardhanu Sulva, firm and
It should be as steady as the oil which is poured and not like a water spurt. Can you
Even
imagine
flow,
that?
even
That
flow.
evenness has to be there, the
Okay.
volume, the timbre, the power, it has to be evened out. So this exercise, which essentially works on your voice stamina. It increases your breath control also because you're trying to hold as long as you can. Take a deeper breath and try it longer and longer.
Correct.
So this helps threefold. It improves the power of your voice. It increases the stamina of your voice, and it irons out all the creases and makes it more worthy and more strong to convey your musical thoughts.
Are there specific exercises?
Yes, and so
people
I
should
think
work on?
as we talked, Shruti Shuddham is the most important thing because that not only gives you the Shruti Shuddham but also the melodic aspect. This also improves when the closer you get to the Tanpura and to the Shruti Shuddham, the more melodiously rooted you become.
Okay.
That is one aspect. The second aspect is though there are a lot of musical exercises that we have, the Sharli Varshe, Thatu Varshe. So you can choose, you can go from Sharli Varshe and you can make up your own exercises sometimes because not all of these exercises cover the entire range of gamakas or so many things that we do in the course of a performance in a concert. Not all these exercises cannot really cover all this. So whatever that is, it might be a difficult phrase, it might be a difficult exercise taken from a kirtana, taken from a raga, somewhere. Just try it again and again in different speeds.
Okay.
Alternate your ragas. So it can be any phrase like, or even a Thatu Varshe or a Jhanta Varshe. Sing that plain with gamaka, with more punch in many ragas. So all this it improves the clarity of the voice.
Okay.
Flexibility is.
Okay.
But I do think that voice flexibility, as Ranjini said, can be improved. But a flexible voice cannot take the place of an inflexible voice. It is impossible. There are certain givens and
Actually, we were fortunate to have a good voice to begin with, and in fact, I remember the first instance that we went to PSN sir and sang before him. He said, "How come you took to violin when you have this kind of a voice? Why did you do that?" So he was very surprised. We had very minimal work to do on our voice, honestly speaking. So it is not like we have surmounted a lot of trouble and then become vocalist. It's not true. So yeah, that is there. And then
you have something.
Do you think that the current training that people undergo in Carnatic music is sufficient? Are we covering all the aspects in voice?
Unfortunately, yes, in Carnatic music, we do not have any system in place to develop a voice. And thanks to Purandara, we have systems of how to learn music, but not how to
use the voice.
Focus on the fundamental aspects of voice production. We don't have exercises for that.
So it's basically completely on instinct. And also how your guru does. So it will be like follow your guru.
Imbibe the style of your guru and imitate how they produce their voice.
But I think it should not be so, because the guru has a different voice from yours, and you have to understand your own voice.
Especially if it's a male guru, and if the gender is different, then
that also. But it's largely how the guru says that. But I think probably we can start making an effort to kind of regularize the whole, and because the voice culture for Carnatic music is very different. It's going to be unique. It cannot borrow a leaf from your Western tradition, even Hindustani, because the complexities of gamakas in our system is certainly very unique. And I suppose I look forward that there should be a codified system, a voice culture technique, which will address the basic fundamentals of purity, Shuddha, and will also say how you can produce all the gamakas, the speed, the power, and yet remain strong and sound. I look forward to such a treatise, maybe
which
hopefully we
everyone
can
can
all
adopt, right?
join together and bring such a body of work. There are a few certain don'ts. Maybe the do's vary from person to person, but certainly the don'ts are very clear to me. One is that breathe from the nabhi, as they say. This is a very basic thing. Deep breathing. Vaitalenda, nabhi, abdomen, breathe deeply, and the sound will certainly be more richer. That is one. Sing openly without muffling your voice, without drawing back. Open voice production is very important. The third is avoid stylistic or mannerisms, I would say, but in the voice, like nasalization, mookala paradal. Avoid vibrato techniques. These are all used to hide the fact of your fear of a clean akara. Sa, to hold the upper stretcher sa with the akara is very difficult. So people use re, na, e, all these syllables to hide the fact, or they slightly tremble the voice. That kind of things. Let your music be honest. Let it be sincere. So that attitude must be cultivated in all students, to hold it boldly, fearlessly, and to work hard to get it right.
Right.
So I think these and unnecessary nasalizations of voice, that takes away from the beauty of your voice. So I think these don'ts should be emphasized at a very early age.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was a very informative and educative session. We really should thank Srimati Ranjini and Gayathri here today for sharing their knowledge and expertise. Voice culture can be a very daunting and often misunderstood topic, and I'm sure many students would have benefited immensely from the session today. We do invite all of the students and viewers to interact with us and post your questions or thoughts on this topic, and we will do our best to get back to you on those. Remember that the quest for knowledge is not a destination but a journey, which in itself can be its own reward, especially with the guidance of an able guru. And we hope that all of you endeavor to continue learning, and we wish you all the best from Acharyanet. Thank you.